Hey everybody, Nick Espinoza, your Chief Security Fanatic here, and today we are talking about AI security risks because yesterday the White House just put out an executive order on exactly that. Now, this is coming from Elias Grohl and Christian Vasquez of Cyberscoop, and here's what's going on. Now, the White House, as I just mentioned, announced a long-awaited executive order yesterday on Monday that attempts to mitigate the security risks of artificial intelligence while harnessing the potential benefits of that technology. Now, coming basically on almost a year after the release of ChatGPT, everybody knows what that is, Monday's executive order aims to walk a fine line between over-regulating a new and potentially groundbreaking technology as well as addressing its risks, and that is the balance that needs to be struck. And I actually think it's interesting, and I think they're on the right track here. Now, the order directs leading AI labs to notify the U.S. government of training, of training runs that produce models with potential national security risks, and instructs the National Institute of Standards and Technology, known as NIST, to develop frameworks for how to adversarially test AI models, and establishes an initiative to harness AI to automatically find and fix software vulnerabilities, among other measures. All of that sounds perfectly fine to me, in a way. Now, addressing the question of privacy, fairness, and existential risks associated with AI models, Monday's order is a sweeping attempt to lay the groundwork for a regulatory regime at a time when policymakers around the world are basically scrambling to write rules for AI. A White House fact sheet basically described that order containing, quote, the most sweeping actions ever taken to protect Americans from the potential risks of AI systems. Now, they go on to talk about a whole bunch of other stuff, but from here I diverged from Cyberscoop because I went straight to that executive order fact sheet to start talking about what they want. So let's discuss some of the new security controls that they're going to be putting in place. The first one mentioned is require that developers of the most powerful AI systems share their safety test results and other critical information with the U.S. government. Okay, I think that makes sense, especially if it relates to national security. Now, giving up source code and other things is a different animal, especially when you're talking about intellectual property and secret sauce, but the order didn't go that far from what I've read. Also, the next point is develop standards, tools, and tests to help ensure that AI systems are safe, secure, and trustworthy. Depending on how that it's applied, I think that's fine too. Again, vague language like the other national cybersecurity order basically leaves room for wiggle, if you will. So that's something that we're going to need to be addressing in this, and I'm obviously going to be diving into this a little further, but I wanted to give you guys the primer. On top of that, the next point is protect the risks of using AI to engineer dangerous biological materials by developing strong new standards for biological synthesis screening. We've seen a lot of improvement in AI, basically looking at vaccines, looking at cancer, looking at a whole bunch of other things, and finding new and unique ways to actually combat this. But obviously it can be used for bioweaponry as well, and the US government is concerned about that. I continue. The next point is protect Americans from AI-enabled fraud and deception by establishing standards and best practices for detecting AI-generated content and authenticating official content. That is going to be a tough one. They're basically speaking of deepfakes, and we are walking into a 2024 election that is going to be the most disinformation the U.S. has ever seen. I promise you, I would put money on it that there is going to be deepfake videos and audios of the leading candidates. Think Biden, think Trump, think whoever the leading candidates are, but it seems to be those two again. So the thing is with that is that we're going to start seeing subtle things, and I've literally written on this. I've talked about this before, that something gets put out that basically is damning to one candidate at the other, but it's demonstrably fake. All of that candidate's followers said, I knew the other guy was, horrible, blah, 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 blah. And so by virtue of that, confirmation bias kicks in. The actual news kicks in 24 to 48 hours later, says it's fake, and here we are. Nobody believes it, or nobody gets the memo. That is a huge problem. Now, the next point they've got here is establish an advanced cybersecurity program to develop AI tools to find and fix vulnerabilities in critical software. Yes, we have been doing this for years now, but it has never been a standard. Some companies in their software lifecycle development leverage these kinds of tools and these kinds of platforms. Others don't, but essentially making that a standard that you can certify to, I think would be a good thing overall. On top of it, they also mentioned, and I quote, order the development of a national security memorandum that directs further actions on AI and security. Yes, in other words, they're going to kick it down to CISA, NIST, et cetera, to make sure that we are covering all possible bases here, because as this grows and evolves, the standard framework that they just put out may need to grow and evolve as well. Now, on top of this, they also talked about privacy protections for you and I, citizens of the United States. And I think this is actually a good thing as well, because we need privacy bumps. Look at the amount of data mining we're seeing from the Googles and Facebooks of the world. And so this is what they're mentioning here. And the first point on privacy is protect Americans' privacy by prioritizing federal support for accelerating the development and use of privacy-preserving techniques. Yes, that would be great. On top of it, how about a GDPR here in the United States as well? Not like Congress is going to get off their butts and do that. And it's not like you could pretty much order a sweeping GDPR from an executive order, but this is getting the federal government to work and move towards privacy, and hopefully coming down like a ton of bricks on the Facebooks and the Googles of the world, who also pay for an army of lobbyists to ensure that that doesn't happen. So we're going to see where that goes. The next one is strengthen privacy-preserving research and technologies as well. In other words, yes, we're going to continuously improve on that, as we're continuously improve on all types of technology, not just AI. The next one is evaluate how agencies collect and use commercially available information. That's a big one. We've had multiple cases this year I've reported on where essentially they're going in front of Congress or their subcommittees and saying, yeah, we've been buying third-party data from brokers that buy it from the Facebooks of the world, and now we're all in trouble. So I'm a big fan of that. On top of it, develop guidelines for federal agencies to evaluate the effectiveness of privacy-preserving techniques. In other words, they've got to basically report up and say, yes, we are adopting more advanced technologies to ensure our citizens are private. We're being data mined to the nth degree without warrants, and it's a huge problem. Now, the executive order goes on to talk about a whole lot more, but that is the crux of this. And overall, I think it's a good start and it's a good approach. But like the National Cybersecurity Strategy, fleshing out the very specific details, especially in the wording, is important, because what privacy means to one person may simply mean something else to somebody else, especially to younger generations that have a much different shape or understanding of what privacy is. So I think this is an important one to basically knock out, but we're going to see where this goes. And so that is your cybersecurity/AI news and privacy news of the week. Oh, and please like, share, follow me here. I should probably do my own preamble. Please like, share, follow me here on Facebook and Twitter at NickAESP, and please feel free to subscribe to me at YouTube as well. And as always, stay safe, stay online, and please attempt to stay private as I slowly lose my memory. Take care.